Okay, so as you know, this movie is about mental illness. Can you explain what your diagnosis is, how long you struggle with it, and when and where you were diagnosed?
It's not an official diagnosis, but I've been displaying symptoms of anxiety and depression. Well, I've been struggling with anxiety probably since seventh grade. I've just become more aware of the symptoms of depression around ninth grade. Um, where I've been told that I've been displaying symptoms would probably be at the counseling here at TAMIU.
And how would you say your illness affects your learning capabilities? How do you cope or attempt to cope with your academic expectations as well as your day to day life?
It really affects my learning abilities a lot. I have trouble concentrating most of the time. Let's see, I have trouble. And sometimes, well, sometimes I just don't want to show up to class because of that. But, I have to. And it's just stressful.
And how do you attempt to cope?
Well, since I'm a pre-nursing major, I have to study, so studying usually takes my mind off of it because I'm concentrating on, I guess, something else. But if it gets to the point where even studying doesn't work anymore, I usually turn to, let's say, cooking or baking, where I just have to be around people and talking to them. I don't isolate myself because that just makes it worse. I decide to hang around people and talk to them. And with the help, I do decide to go get help sometimes because, sometimes I just can't handle it.
Is there anything preventing you from talking about your struggles? If yes, then what is it?
Yeah. I've talked about my struggles before, but there still is a lot stopping me. I guess you could say the household. The topic is avoided a lot in my house. So whenever I try to approach my family members about it, they just say, well, it's not really there, it's just part of your imagination. I don't know why you should be feeling like that. And I just leave it at that because why am I going to argue with them?
And so, do you have a support system? How do they support you?
My friends, I was a bit hesitant to tell them, but when I did tell them about it, they're really supportive.
And then one final question. What would you say to someone that's currently struggling but they're too afraid to talk about it?
I would tell them that it is hard. It is hard. It is. But that it's okay to get the help you need. And it might seem, scary at first and all, but once you do get that help, it starts working slowly, so slowly sometimes, but it works. And that if you're gonna get frustrated, it happens. It happened to me, but I think I've been getting good so far, so I feel like they'll be just fine eventually.
Okay. And that is it. Alright, so as you know, this film is about mental illness. So can you explain exactly what it is that you're dealing with or what your diagnosis is if you have
So my diagnosis was depression and anxiety. I didn't get an exact diagnosis because at that point I had just freaked out and I was like, okay, thank you, bye. I can't keep up with it at this point, but I'm trying.
Like, is there anything preventing you from seeking help, like outside or like?
I guess it's just fear of judgment. Is like I did go to health services here at TAMU like a year, maybe 2 years ago when I first started college. I went to therapy, and I don't know, there's just one session where I felt that like the counselor was saying it was my fault, and I just stopped going. So I was like, okay.
So would you say like, as over time, like, have things gotten like better or worse for you, like depending on your circumstances?
I mean, they've gotten better. Right now I'm at a rough spot. Like, things are pretty tough right now, but they're bound to get better, you know.
So do you believe like the environment around you allows you, like makes you feel comfortable enough to go get help or seek like a support system or just to talk about your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, we have a lot of like great resources for that type of thing. It's like Pillar is a really good resource, and I mean like the health services here, but it's just, yeah, I feel like the environment is like open to like exploring that option. It's more of just like myself, stopping myself. Yeah, being self-conscious about it, I guess. But like I know for a fact that like people are pretty chill with that. They're, yeah.
That's a pretty awkward question to end on, but yeah, that's it. So
Okay. I think I executed that as best as I could right now.
you did good. You did good.
Yeah. Sorry.
This film, this documentary is about mental illness. So can you explain what your diagnosis is? If you
Yeah, I have a major depressive disorder and general anxiety, mostly on social anxiety.
And how long have you struggled with this?
Practically most of my life, like since I was like a child, even though like I never really knew what it was, but I've always had these feelings.
And how long ago were you like officially, I guess, diagnosed by a doctor?
By a doctor, it would have to be in middle school. Yeah, like 6th grade, I think.
Would you say that your illness affects your learning capabilities?
Yeah, it really does, especially in college, because I know high school was more of a pattern, like every day was kind of the same, but with college everything is kind of like unexpected with assignments and like extracurriculars. Like it's just more busy and more overwhelming. So I think these past 2 years has been the most difficult for me with these illnesses. So
So would you say like with your art that like helps you relieve the pressure like in any way?
in a way, yes, but since there's other people that are also into art in my classes and stuff, I can get kind of insecure and intimidated by other people and like their talents and stuff, but whenever I focus like just on myself, it does help.
So when you like, do you discuss openly about your mental illness?
Not really. Like my family, definitely not. Like I know my sister, she kind of has hints that I do have depression, so she's a little bit aware of what I'm going through, but everyone else in my family, like not at all, because they don't believe in that kind of stuff. So I just keep it to myself. But my best friends from high school, like I tell them mostly everything.
So from what you said about like with your family, would you say like the main reason why you don't like try to like discuss it is mostly because of their like beliefs about mental health?
Yeah, like they're really religious, and they've also gone through like so much, like, can I curse? Like they've been through so much shit like before, like in their past years, especially in Mexico and everything. So usually whenever I go to them with like my problems and stuff like that with my stresses, they usually like tell me about their experiences, so it kind of detaches me from them, and they like make it more about themselves. And it usually happens a lot whenever I try to open up to them, so I kind of learn to just keep quiet and not really tell them anything, because if not, they usually just say, well, oh, I've been through all of this stuff, so you can get through this. They just don't really understand. And it's like also with the religious aspect of like, since they've been through all that shit, like they believe in God and stuff, and they like found faith in that, but they try to force me into that kind of stuff, but it's hasn't really clicked or anything. Like I haven't really found like the support in that they've found.
So is there like something, one thing, or probably one of many that you wish people understood in regards to mental health and academics?
That it really does take a toll on a person. Like, it's difficult going through academic stuff with these illnesses. Like, it makes it so much worse than the average student. And I honestly just really wish professors could understand when like we're in need of just a day off to just calm down and relax, or just like some time off class to just breathe for a moment, because it gets so overwhelming. And with so many people that are like normal or like don't really deal with this kind of stuff, like you feel really detached from everyone, so you feel really isolated, and it's not a nice thing to feel. So if people could just, well, mostly professors and like faculty, if they could just understand that not all students think the same way, that would be much better.
Do you feel like there's anything left that you need to say or something to get off your chest now? Or?
No, not really. I think I think this is enough.
As you know, this movie is about mental illness. Can you explain what your diagnosis is? How long have you struggled with this? When and where were you diagnosed? My diagnosis as of now is chronic depression and general anxiety disorder. I would say I've struggled with this for a really long time. I feel like I really came into like realization about it like in high school, but I wasn't officially diagnosed until I came to Brown, and that didn't happen until about last semester. Me and my therapist like could come to agreement with this, that I've been dealing with depression way longer than my diagnosis has existed. Back home, not everybody's very understanding with mental health, and here I can say like I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by people who see the value in taking care of yourself and the value in putting your mental health first. Number 5, is there anything preventing you from talking about your struggles? If yes, then what is it? I grew up in an environment that was very against antidepressants or any medication that could possibly help mental illnesses. So I still have a lot of that internalized stigma, and I'm trying my best to unlearn it. But I think my priority right now is just myself becoming comfortable with it before I can really start talking about my stuff with medication. Can you share what the hardest moment of your academic career was? Since then, have things gotten better or worse? How so? I was in a lot of pain last semester, and then that really just stressed me out because I had to drop a class, and in that aspect I felt like a failure, and then that just worsened my mental health and my emotional health, and I was also struggling with a lot of other health issues, so everything culminated, and it was just a really, really tough time trying to get through everything. And I feel like that was really the hardest moment because everything was coming at me, like every aspect of my health was really falling apart as that's how it felt to me. So I really didn't have any control over my life last semester, and I just feel like everything was really like hitting me very badly. Just been trying to cement a more support system here, so I've been very conscientious about who I'm reaching out to and just trying to surround myself by people who care and people who will actually be there for me when I need it. So I think seeing how I was last semester and where I am now, I have grown and I have learned a lot more about myself. I'm very sad that I had to go through that in order to learn what I learned, but I just like learned to like put myself first, and it's still easier said than done, but I'm slowly getting and improving my sense of just taking care of myself.